highlighting small businesses that have pivoted during the COVID-19 pandemic. And they've been great stories. If you haven't seen them yet, you should check out our webpage at investatlanta.com. But today, we're shifting gears to help the business community get additional insight about what resources are available with our friends from the UGA Small Business Development Corporation and Paul Wilson, who's running their shop. We're very glad to have Paul with us today. Paul is the area director of UGA Small Business Development Center at Georgia State University. The SBDC is funded in part by the U.S. Small Business Administration and is a public service and outreach extension of the University of Georgia. The SBDC's goal is to enhance the economic well-being of all Georgians by providing a wide range of services for small business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs by utilizing tools, training, and resources. The SBDC has 17 offices ranging from Rome to Valdosta to serve the needs of the business community. Since 1977, their partners have helped construct a statewide ecosystem to foster the spirit, support, and success of hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs and innovators. And we need that so much today, especially inside the city of Atlanta. Paul is a great guy. He's an innovator with nearly 20 years of experience creating and delivering high caliber consulting and training solutions to large corporations, small businesses, nonprofits, and professionals at all levels. As area director, he and his team provide consulting services, market research, business resources, and educational support to startups, small and medium-sized businesses to help them achieve their short and long-term goals. And their partnership with Invest Atlanta is so critical at this time. And they come in before small businesses come to Invest Atlanta, during the process if you need help with your business plan, or even after you've come through Invest Atlanta if you're using one of our loan portfolios. So Paul's going to be speaking with our Assistant Director of Business Retention and Expansion and Workforce Programs, Sabrina Young, right? If you have any questions that you'd like answered, please type them in the chat box to your right, and we'll leave a few minutes in order to have them answered. So without further ado, thanks so much for Paul joining us today, and we're going to turn it over to you. Thanks so much.
Good morning, Paul. It's a pleasure to have you today. Again, I'm Sabrina Young, right? The Assistant Director of Business Retention, Expansion, and Workforce Programs at Invest Atlanta. We're so happy to have you with us today to speak about the Small Business Development Center and the great work you're doing to assist small businesses, not just in Atlanta, but across Georgia. So Nathan did a brief introduction, and could you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and some of the things that you've done in your career?
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Sabrina. And definitely a pleasure to be here with Invest Atlanta and have an opportunity to talk about a lot of the great resources that we have at the Small Business Development Center. So my professional background before I came to the SBDC a few years ago is supply chain management. So I worked for a large Fortune 500 company in their supply chain area doing contracts and purchasing along those lines. And then I shifted to supplier diversity. So I kind of became an internal small business consultant, really helping minority women-owned businesses just understand how to navigate the procurement process from that standpoint. And then I decided to take the entrepreneurial dive myself and become an entrepreneur, where I was actually providing consulting services to other large corporations in the area of supply chain management and supplier diversity. And so really over the, and that was for several years, and then transitioned to some other career paths, but finally got to the SBDC. But through that entire process, I've probably been consulting, working, coaching, training small businesses probably for at least the last 20 years or so, and very passionate about helping entrepreneurs grow and find resources and just kind of navigate, some of their challenges, but definitely loving that entrepreneurial spirit. And I've been fortunate to connect with UGA, Small Business Development Center. That's allowed me to kind of connect, my passion for entrepreneurship with the resources that we're able to provide small business owners.
Okay, that's great. Sounds like some great work that you've done in the past. So some people may not understand what the Small Business Development Center is or what you all do. So can you tell us a little bit about what actually is the Small Business Development Center?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question. So we've been around for about 40 years or so. Again, as Nathan mentioned, we're funded by the federal government through the Small Business Administration and the University System of Georgia. So we have 17 locations across the state. And our 100% focus is on providing consulting services. And so when I say that, basically what that means is we work one-on-one with small businesses in the areas of strategic planning, business, helping you with the business plan, marketing strategies, social media, accounting, HR. So we cover a wide range of businesses, and every business is different. And so really, when you come to an SBDC location, we're here. We're going to find out what you need, what you've been doing, where you're trying to go. And we don't have a cookie cutter approach. Everyone is unique. So really, the work that we do with every single business could be different. And one of the best things about what we do is actually there's no charge. So it's your tax dollars at work. I kind of joke and say it's prepaid, but it's definitely your tax dollars at work. So yeah, there's no charge for you to come and work with a small business development center, business consultant. And that actually can last through the life cycle of your business. So you may be a pre-venture, or you already have 50 employees and you make several $1 million. I mean, we work from all stages of business, from the smallest up to what the SBA defines as a small business, which can actually be 500 employees and somewhere between $30 to $50 million in revenues. So if you're not at that point yet, you definitely can utilize the services of the SBDC. And again, we're not going to charge you for that. And again, you can come back and utilize us really as often as needed, during that time of the different business stages that you may be going through.
So if a small business is having challenges with marketing, I heard you mention marketing and HR amongst some of the other things that you all provide, how exactly can you assist them with that? So they come into your office, they say, hey, I need help here to help my business grow. It's an established business already. So walk us through that process.
Absolutely. And interesting, marketing is one of the probably the biggest areas, right? Because everyone wants to grow their business through marketing and sales. So yeah, so we really sit down and kind of do a little bit of a triage, if you will. So spend a lot of time asking questions, right? So, what is marketing tools or plans or strategies have they utilized in the past? We ask other questions around, how have you defined your target market? So is it consumer based, right? Or are you selling to the government? Are you selling to corporations? How much time and energy have you invested in really understanding who that market is? So if you're selling to consumers, where do they live? What are their demographics? What is their average income? What is their lifestyle habits and choices in terms of the things they like to buy? And do they use technology or not use technology? Right now, we assume everyone's on technology, but that's not necessarily the case, potentially depending on who your market is. So we do a deep dive to really understand, first of all, who you are as a business, what's your product or service, right? Who should you or could you be selling to? And then how do you get to them? One of the critical aspects of that process is market research, right? And so we have been connected to the university, have access to several databases that provide a lot of the market research that if you were an individual going to some of these research companies to actually request these reports, you could actually do it. It might cost you literally per report $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000, right? So as a resource of the Small Business Development Center, we're able to provide those as I'll say complimentary as part of the consulting service. So really to help you understand as a business owner, right, who your target market is. How do you best reach them? How do you best engage them? And then even put a marketing strategy together. For example, social media is maybe not be the best platform for your business if that's not where your customers are. So we look at your entire business comprehensively, and it may be actually 3 to 4 things you may need to do, right? It may be an email campaign plus a social media campaign, plus maybe a cold calling campaign, right? So whatever it is that's unique to your business, right? We have definitely a methodology and a process that we walk you through. But again, your plan may be completely different than the business next to you, but it's all going to be based on, again, what your needs are and who you're trying to reach, again, in your target market.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Sounds like you all do a lot to help out. And being that these services are free, that sounds pretty awesome.
Absolutely. That's the best, maybe the best thing I say today. Right.
What are some misconceptions that people have about SBDC and what you all can provide and things of that nature? Some different things that you may be hearing or learning during this time of the COVID pandemic.
Absolutely. One of our, I'll say our biggest assets, maybe, and sometimes maybe from a perception standpoint, maybe a detriment. Again, as you said, we're connected to the University of Georgia, right? Now I kind of call them I joke and call them our mothership, but our state headquarters. But we also have, other universities around the state. Of course, I lead the office at Georgia State, but we're also at Kennesaw State, West Georgia, Clayton State, Georgia Southern, and Valdosta State. And the reason I bring those other centers up along with UGA is sometimes small business owners may think, well, because you're connected to a university, you only serve students. Well, as a matter of fact, we're on university campuses, but we probably spend 95% of our time with the external public. So we're really an outreach of the university. And then also because we're on a campus, some people often think that we're trying to teach classes, right? Well, we do have workshops that we offer. However, our purpose of even teaching a class is more so to equip you as a business owner more practical tools just to be more effective at growing your business. And so, again, some of the misconceptions, again, could be, a big university, you're not going to focus on me. And other people start to say, well, you just focus on startups. Well, again, hopefully I can dispel all those myths and say, again, we're here to serve the general public. Again, if you're a business that's smaller than 500 employees, right, come to us and you can get help. And again, and just to talk about our workforce a little bit, across the state, we have 50 or so consultants. And pretty much all of us have actually, the majority of us have actually an MBA. So we actually, which was required for us to be hired when we were hired. So and a lot of us have been business owners or come out of industry. So we have a lot of practical knowledge. So our goal is not to just fill your head or a PowerPoint presentation with information. We want to give you very practical tools on how to operate and run your business. Hopefully, when you walk out of a meeting, you can go implement something immediately that you either walk out of a meeting or one of our workshops. And then, of course, you mentioned the coronavirus and the pandemic that we're in right now. So one of the things that we've done, again, with our entire history, because we're partnering with the SBA as well as with several lenders, that's one of our major roles is helping small business owners navigate that loan acquisition process, right, with lenders. So again, we've been doing this for 40 years or so, again, in our existence. So fortunately, we already had the infrastructure set up that when this pandemic came along and the SBA, and other federal agencies launched these relief funds and loans, we were already set up to help businesses walk through that process. So really over the last 6 weeks, we've kind of had to pivot ourselves and just be hands-on with small business owners, understanding the programs, walking through the applications, answering their questions. Sometimes, we're having to, explain a lot because, again, sometimes you hear stuff in the media that may be a popular headline, but the details may not be exactly right. So we've been doing a lot of that, just helping people kind of navigate this process and then also think through, hopefully this kind of crisis period will pass, but business as we know it may change forever. So we're here too to help business owners strategize their next phase, right? Put different plans and resources in place. Again, as I talked about the market research piece, right? If you're needing that. But again, but still, if you're in the middle of this and you need help just on the financials, absolutely, we're here to help you with that too and really understand, these different programs and different options that you have that you may not have been able to learn about, let's say on your own. We're definitely here as a resource to provide as much information as possible.
So you're able to assist with filling out the applications for for example, the PPP loan or the CARES Act and different things that come along with that and provide guidance.
Absolutely. And we may be one of the very few organizations that are set up to do this, because again, we're spread out across the state, right here in Metro Atlanta. If you're in the Metro Atlanta area, we have 4 or 5 locations. So again, we're here to help hands-on, not just to pass you off to the next organization, but we're really here to engage with you one-on-one.
I heard you mention webinars earlier. So you all also, in addition to the free services that you have, you provide webinars. Can you share some information about that and exactly what subjects are covered in these webinars?
Absolutely. And because we have such a broad client base, we also, again, offer these different training webinars where before we were actually doing it in more of our classes were in person, but now, again, as we pivoted to create more online content. So again, anything from, let's say you're a pre-venture and you just want to learn, what are the key steps in starting a business? right? So let's say you're in business and you don't have a business plan, but the lender that you're going to says, hey, I need a business plan, right? We
Right.
teach a class on how to write a business plan, some basic stuff. We teach other classes on digital marketing and social media. As a matter of fact, earlier this week, our office did a class on podcasting for beginners. So we walk
Okay.
people through how do you create an online podcast. So really almost any topic that we may provide a one-on-one consultation on. We also, again, have classes set up that will be, again, those same areas or topics as webinars. And so one of the things that's also happened with this kind of with this crisis is, before we were offered what we call low-cost training, very, very nominal fee.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the funding that's come about, we're actually now able to offer throughout the entire state. All of our classes actually will be free in terms of our webinar
Wow.
going forward for the foreseeable future. Because again, our goal is how do we help small business owners get back on their feet? And the great thing, again, because again, I'm at Georgia State. However, there's 17 offices around the state, and there's going to be more content that we're going to be rolling out over the next several months. So again, you can take a class anywhere that across the state that's offering it. Because again, one location may not be offering something that another is, but that's fine. You can just go to the other location. Now you can go there online, right? And be able to take one of those classes.
Wow, it's great that now you've moved to make those things online, virtual for everyone to participate in, and they're also free. So that's pretty
Absolutely.
amazing. I know there's a lot of small businesses right now who are suffering, or people who had started a business recently that have a lot of questions about how can they move forward. What advice do you have to people who are entrepreneurs or who are in that early phase of their business right now, who are looking to branch out or expand their business, and or just perhaps remain viable and sustainable through this pandemic?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Because unfortunately, just how I'll say, just the statistics work, right? Every business is not going to survive, but our goal is, right, what can we do to help as many as possible survive, right? And so for some, right, you almost got to look at your situation and say, is what we're going through now, let's say as an individual business owner, is this temporary or permanent, right? And I have to look at my business model. Right. So if my business model was completely based on, let's say social interaction, if you will, in person,
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way, whether it's temporary or long term, for me to take that online and make it virtual? Right. Is there a way, or am I so dependent on, and again, none of us saw this coming, so there's no blame there. But again, am I so dependent on, one way of doing business that I can't pivot? Right. Or actually I can pivot, or maybe I need to do what I need to do differently. Right. And I need to think about my whole business model differently.
Yeah.
So you have to think about, okay, what assets do I have? What maybe intellectual property do I have? What skill sets do I have? What business acumen do I have? What's my network? And again, it may, as your pivot, may literally be doing something completely different, but maybe you're using the same resources that you have to do something different, and you're able to transition, let's say online, and you're able to move forward. Other people may say, you know what, this is temporary. Our business is in person. Like if you're a barber, you're gonna have to, cut people's hair. There's no way to virtually do that, right? So if you can weather this current storm, let's get you as many resources as possible to weather the storm, right? But maybe, and this is just an idea, maybe for a barber, maybe you're really good at teaching, right? So maybe you can create a different stream of income by maybe creating an online teaching platform, right? Where you're either teaching people how to cut hair. Maybe you have some unique styles that you do, right? And so now you're able to get some subscribers, right? And you're able to use it as income. And that may be, and get this, and if you can kind of weather the storm of at some point in time, right, you may be able to keep the barbershop open instead of people come in, but now you still have this other additional stream of income that you create because now you're training online, right? So again, just one brief example, but again, as a business owner, right, those are the kind of things also that as business consultants, we can kind of help you think through, because sometimes when you're in the weeds, I've been there as a business owner, you can sometimes see everybody else's issues or challenges, even opportunities. Sometimes it's hard to see your own. So that's absolutely what we're here for too, just to share ideas, bounce some ideas off. And again, also the research that we have access to. You may have an idea and you may be able to say, hey, you know what, let me know about this idea. Is this already happening out there in the industry? Was it already happening before the pandemic started? Is this an opportunity? And so it's not just based on our opinions that we're going to share. Of course, we're going to share some ideas, but if there's some research we can use to help back that up, right, we can actually kind of help supplement or validate that idea too with some of the research that we have from that standpoint.
Right. That was a great idea. I mean, a creative thought for barbers. I'm not sure if many people have thought of that. So, I mean, just
That was
off the
free
top of
for
your head
whoever
like
needed
that, that was
it.
pretty good.
Right. Absolutely. It happens like that sometimes. I'm just saying.
Exactly. I mean, that's great. That's great. A great way, because one of the things that we're asking businesses, because I communicate with businesses every day, is how has your business pivoted during this time? How have you shifted to remain viable? And what are some of the creative things that your company has undertaken to remain sustainable and to, just survive this time here? So just everybody's having to be creative right now.
Absolutely.
So if people are interested in speaking to you directly or receiving some assistance from the Small Business Development Center, what is the best way for them to either contact you or find out more information and, just learn about more of the specific programs that you offer and perhaps even sign up for a webinar or something of that nature?
Sure. So our state website is the easiest place to get access to all that information at georgiasbdc.org. And then from there, you can actually get access to all of our training across the entire state, as well as find out all of our contact information at our specific locations. So even if you want to go straight to Georgia State, it'd be that same georgiasbdc.org/Atlanta. Right. So just put /Atlanta, and you can get to our offices directly. But again, even if you just go to georgiasbdc.org, I think there's a locations tab, and you can see all the locations there. Another great thing about that too is because we're connected across the state as a network, and with all these consultants and all their own experiences, and plus all the experiences that we have just working with small businesses and what we gain in that process, I'd say that there's probably not an issue that somebody in our network across the state has not seen before. There'd be very things that'll stump all 50 of us at one time from that standpoint. Excuse me. So yeah, so if you need, so if there's something, if you contact our office and it's something that's so unique that we can't help you with, trust me, we just tap into our network and say, hey, have a client who has this issue. Has anybody within our network seen that before? And typically we'll get an answer pretty quickly. And I'll say this too, in connection with that, we are very sensitive to confidentiality. So when we work with you, we don't sell your information to any other organization. We don't give it away. We don't even report it to the federal government, although we're federally funded. The only reporting that we do is in total aggregate. Like, so the thousands of businesses that we work with in the state, right, and the thousands of employment growth and things like that, that's all we report. So you can be confident that as you share and interact with the SBDC, that again, your information is not being shared outside of that organization without your written permission from that standpoint.
Well, that's great. That's good to know. The confidentiality is great to know. I know some people may have a concern about that, or especially now with there being so much information online. Right. If someone is interested in receiving a one-on-one consultation with you or one of your counterparts at a different location throughout the state, do they need to schedule an appointment with you directly, and how would they go about doing that?
Sure. So on that same website, georgiasbdc.org, there, once you get to our individual locations, we all have email addresses that are there. And so that's probably the easiest way to contact the office. Our direct email address to my office is atlanta@georgiasbdc.org. That's atlanta@georgiasbdc.org. And again, just shoot us an email, and then we'll get you connected with the consultant and get you connected with, I say, with our onboarding process, but it's very simple. And then that'll get you in line to meet with a consultant.
Okay, that's wonderful. I just think there's so much for small businesses, and as an economic development professional, we work so closely with our partners, whether they be at the state level or the chambers or even our utility partners.
Right.
How do you all work with different partners throughout the state, and what are some of those partnerships that you have?
That's a great question, because again, as many resources that we do have, we do not pretend to be the be all and end all for every organization. So we are very intentional about building resource partnerships with others. So for example, the GTPAC, right, is the Georgia Technical Procurement Assistance Center. They specialize in government contracting. So although we can help clients with that, but that's their specialty. So oftentimes we'll refer clients over to them, and they'll refer clients to us. The Minority Business Development Agency over at Georgia Tech, they specialize in working with manufacturing companies and technology companies, in particular those who are a little bit bigger, over $1 million in revenue. So we work with them, and we'll refer clients over to them from that standpoint. We have other partners in the community, like the Russell Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and all the great work that the Jay Bailey and they're doing over there with them. And so we'll partner with them on different either resources or programs from that standpoint. So again, because again, my territory at Georgia State is all of Fulton County. And so from the north to the south. And so we'll work with different economic development entities, also in different cities, right? The smaller cities, let's say, that are within Fulton County, to either offer programs or to come just speak at events. Oftentimes we're invited to either participate in trade shows or be on panels. So, because again, we want to get the word out as much as possible. But again, anytime we have an opportunity to refer a business to another organization that they're a better fit for, we're more than happy to do that. With SCORE is another organization, again, that we will send referrals to. So yeah, so we try to connect with as many organizations as possible. Invest Atlanta definitely is a great resource partner of ours, because again, one of our goals and strategies is to help businesses get funding. And again, even this was long before the crisis right now that we're in.
Right.
And so fortunately, Invest Atlanta for businesses that are in Atlanta and fit your criteria. Right, we're more than happy to refer businesses over there, because again, our goal is how do we help businesses grow? So we want as many spokes in the wheel, if you will, as possible to organizations that share our values, commitment, and passion for small business growth.
So a business is able to come to you for assistance with their business plan or marketing strategy, and they can receive the services from SBDC, and then they'll also be potentially eligible for services provided by another entity, whether it be funding or whatever incentives that other cities or county governments offer. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And oftentimes, a business owner will come to us, or even though they go to the other entity, including banks, and the banks will send them to us first and say, go work the SBDC and then come back, right? Because fortunately, we have a history and a great reputation of working with small businesses. And so again, they know, again, if the client has worked with us on the business plan, because the business plan we're going to help a client with is going to be, I'll say, to help them get lender ready, right? To have the right market research in there, the right financials in there, the right other aspects of that business plan to make sure it's comprehensive and accurate and complete as possible. So absolutely, oftentimes, again, we're referring people back to each other. But again, the level and quality of work that we aspire to do with small business owners oftentimes puts them in a better position with those other organizations, especially if there's certain requirements that those other organizations have to help for that business owner to be ready to do business, right, with those other entities.
Right. That's wonderful. I can think of so many different ways that we can work more closely together at Invest Atlanta. I mean, we do a lot of classes as well, whether it be on some home ownership, but I know you're all focused on business as well, but we have a lot of our small business loan programs and different funding opportunities available for businesses, and just partnering together so that we can both spread our word about the great services that both the SBDC offers as well as Invest Atlanta to reach a larger audience. I think that's something that we can work together in doing, and just continue that great partnership with our economic development partners across the state. Especially in Metro Atlanta. Yeah, that's awesome. I love what you shared about the misconceptions and people thinking that you only service the students at Georgia State, or that you maybe even have to be a student to go to receive your services. So that makes a lot of sense. So I'm looking over here at our questions in the comments, and a lot of them are more comments like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm going to reach out to you.
Absolutely.
I think you should expect a lot of emails right now. Everything's virtual, so maybe not any phone calls, but a lot of emails and a lot of appointments in your future.
Exactly. Well, that's what we're here for. I know sometimes it's a blessing and a challenge at the same time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We're definitely here to help.
So yeah, I mean, this is what you've been doing all along. So right now, this is just timely for a lot of businesses to learn more about the SBDC and the great resources. So thank you so much, Paul, for spending time with us today and for sharing information about the Small Business Development Center. It was a pleasure, as always, talking to you. And we look forward to working together more continuously at Invest Atlanta with the SBDC. Thank
Absolutely.
you so
Well,
much.
I absolutely appreciate the opportunity, and again, I love the work that Invest Atlanta is doing. So it's a privilege for us to be able to be partnered with you, and look forward to more great opportunities in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
Absolutely. You too. All right. Bye.